Hello, lovely person watching this. Welcome to my cozy corner of the internet. I'm Nora. I do reading vlogs, cozy game recommendations, sometimes vlog from my life, but mostly book and game content on this channel. Sorry, that was a little long. In this video, I want to share my favorite book to TV adaptations, and I made two separate lists, one for TV shows and one for movies. I'll be adding timestamps so you can easily skip to whichever section you're interested about. Also, there are so many things that I've watched and loved, but I haven't actually read the books of, so they're not going to be included on this list. This list only contains things I've read and watched. So if I only watched a book adaptation without reading the original material, it's not going to be included on this list. I just want to make that clear. I know I over-explained. Okay, without further ado, let's get into the list. Let's start with a nostalgic one and let's go back to 2010's Tumblr phase. First book to TV adaptation that I absolutely love is Looking for Alaska. I think the TV show didn't get as much attention as the book, which is normal, I guess, because they have like 10 years between them. The book was written for the Tumblr phase. I read the book when I was like 12 and then I reread it a few days before the show came out, and I think the location and the casting for the TV show was absolutely perfect. I love Kristen Frosett so much. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce her name, but I love her. She was perfect for Alaska. If you haven't read the book before, we follow Miles, aka Putch, as he enrolls in a boarding school to seek a deeper perspective on life, and there he meets the mysterious Alaska Young. And I think the series beautifully captures the vibe of the book. The next one makes me want to scream because of how much I love it and how excited I am to talk about it. It's Anne with an E. It's also my favorite comfort show to watch with my mom. It's the best time ever. The adaptation was done absolutely perfectly, especially the casting of Anne. I know this is a classic and most of you have probably read it in school, but I'm sure there are some out there who haven't read it before like me. I only read it a few years ago, so I'll talk about the show a little bit. We follow Anne Shirley's adventures and challenges. She's the cutest human being and makes us appreciate life as we watch and read about her and her words and her thoughts. The adaptation stays true to the spirit of the book with its whimsical and endearing portrayal of Anne and her vivid imagination. If you like crying 1 second and then laughing the other, this is the show. Next up, we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. When I started watching this show, I never thought it would end up becoming a 5-star for me because on all the mystery/thriller books I read so far, I can never bond with the characters deep enough, but this was it. So I waited and I waited for the TV show, and let me tell you, I've never been more excited for a book to TV adaptation this much since The Hunger Games back in 2012, but we'll come to that later. So we follow Pippa Fitz-Amobi. She's a high school student and she's investigating a local murder case for her school project. The TV show had many differences from the book. They even wrote off an entire character that I absolutely loved, but I still loved both of these. I mean, of course I would prefer the book a million times over, but it's still so nice when you see your favorite characters on screen. So the book and the show, they're both a 10 for me. Next adaptation we have is Lessons in Chemistry. This is another thing my mom and I both love. We listened to the audiobook together and watched the TV show together, and we both agree they were both amazing. This story centers around Elizabeth Zolt, a chemist in the 60s who battles societal norms to establish herself in a male-dominated field. I think the show also beautifully portrayed her journey, her struggles, and her victories. And it's such an inspiring story. I think every woman should watch this or read this, whichever you prefer, or both. This story inspired me a lot. But let me warn you, there's a dog that dies, and I never spoil anything in my videos usually, but I know so many people get very upset and they don't want to read a book or watch something if there's an animal that gets harmed in it. So I'll just put it out there. The last TV show adaptation I want to talk about is Daisy Jones and the Six. This adaptation was very good, but it definitely had its flaws. Many flaws. In fact, Camille was my favorite character in the book, and I feel like in the show they did her very dirty. Kind of felt like reading about a different character. Other than that, I think it stayed mostly faithful to the book and its format. Okay, we're done with the shows. You've probably realized some very famous adaptations aren't here, like Normal People by Sally Rooney. That's because I've been procrastinating reading and watching it for years because I know I'll end up loving it. I have a video essay about this topic and I still do it. I'm still a victim of this behavior. Anyway, if you would like to watch that, I'll add the link to that video in the description. But I promise I will read and watch Normal People soon. I mean, I want to, but I just keep delaying it. I don't know. Maybe I'll start reading Normal People after I finish editing this video. Actually, yes, I'll do that. I'll read Normal People. Okay, now movies. The first book to movie adaptation we have is The Perks of Being a Wallflower. This book was such a coping mechanism for me when I was a teen, and I think it might be the only book I reread more than twice. But shockingly, when I first watched the film adaptation when I was still a teen, I didn't like it that much, but watching it in my 20s changed something for me, and now I love the movie as much as the book. One of the main themes in this is mental health, which is so important, so I would 1000% recommend this to everyone, both the book and the film. Okay, next up we have The Hunger Games. This one literally defines my personality. So when I had to get off my warm bed and walk to school every day in middle grade, I would act like I was Katniss, like I was walking through the hardships, and that would give me strength to keep going. It's the best book to TV adaptation they could have ever possibly done, I think. It did a perfect job bringing the detailed world and complex characters to the screen. I can keep going about this one for hours, so let's just go to the next one, which is Pride and Prejudice, another classic that probably everyone here read. I only got around to reading this last year because it wasn't a requirement for us at school, and for some reason I always thought this book is for smart people. I mean, not only this book, but like all classic books. And if you're also thinking that, no, they're not hard to read at all, actually. I think most classics are kind of easier to read than other books. I won't describe the story of this one because, well, it's Pride and Prejudice and it doesn't need my explanation, but it's the enemies to lovers story. This one has seen so many adaptations, but the film is especially loved. The beautiful cinematography and the timeless romance between Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. I wanna scream. It's so pretty. I want my southern Italy summer now. Yes, I'm talking about Call Me By Your Name. This tells the story of Elio and Oliver's passionate summer romance in the 80s Italy. I think this film beautifully captured the book's emotional depth and it's so visually stunning. Like if you open any random scene from the movie, it has background material. It's gonna be amazing. Next and also the final adaptation I want to talk about is If I Stay. So in this one we follow a young cellist, Mia, who faces a life-altering decision when a tragic accident leaves her in a coma. This film portrayed the book's heart-wrenching exploration of life, love and loss through flashbacks, and I think it's a really moving adaptation. I cried so much both in the book and the film. This book and film were also really popular back when they came out, so it's another nostalgic one. That was everything I had for this video. If you enjoyed watching this, I have other videos where I talk about TV shows and movies, and I'll be linking them in the description. My socials will also be in the description box. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in another video. Bye bye!